Okay, everybody, if you're logging in, go ahead and let us know you're here. We're here. All right, leave us a comment. Here we go. Let's see. I'm going to switch over. All right. When I see the comments coming in, we will join you. There we go, Diane. Okay. Okay, I'm going to just pop in real quick. I'm going to hide this. Marsha's in the background, but I'm just going to say hi. And my name is Tracy Weinzapfel. We are live on the Gelli Arts page. Here we go. Yes, yes, yes. Have your questions ready to go in just a couple of minutes. And I'll bring Marsha in. If you notice that my voice is a little scratchy, it's because I've been sick. But I'm here. Gelli Arts has been amazing. We were going to reschedule this, but we're going to carry on. The show must go on. So just bear with me. I will have a cough drop, hot tea, orange juice, and a vitamin water. Hi there, everybody. So have your questions ready. We're going to start exactly in 4 minutes. Hello, everybody. Thank you for logging in. And I'll bring Marsha in there. Hi, Marilyn. Hello. Hi, Carolyn in the UK. Greetings from Florida. Love that gal. Hello, everybody. Hello in New Zealand. Yeah, let us know where you're here from. I'm going to sound a little quieter and calmer, but that's the name of the game. So if anybody has gotten sick, and I just want you to know, Gelli Arts has been so understanding and said, let's reschedule, but you guys were looking forward to this, so I'm here for as long as my voice will carry me. Okay, I'm going to go ahead. Hi from Belgium. Hello, hello. Thank you so much. I'm going to bring Marsha in on the screen so that you see the two of us. There's Marsha. Marsha, go ahead and say hi to everybody.
Hi, everyone.
And everybody make sure that you can hear both Marsha and I clearly. Testing, testing. Go ahead, Marsha.
Yeah. So tell us if you can hear us.
It's funny because my ears are a little clogged up and I can still hear. So,
well, then
good.
we're fine.
So many people. And thank you guys. There's Birgit. Okay. Thank you guys too for the well wishes. I said to everybody today, I feel like a country song.
Hi, Art Foamies.
My dog went into surgery and I have the flu. Okay, there we go. Marsha, can I hear you one more time?
Yes, you can hear me.
Uh-oh.
Hopefully.
Oh, there we go. Good. I can hear you. Okay, we're going to get started in 3 minutes. Oh, people are asking about my puppy. I don't know yet. Thank you so much for the well wishes. And thank you, everybody, I'm on the mend. Thank you. And I'm so glad everybody is here and being compassionate to my voice for as long as it lasts. So we are going to talk today about image transfers primarily. That's what we're going to focus on. So if you have questions, we already have a list of questions that we get all the time. So we're going to start there. Let's see. We have about 2 more minutes. What kind of puppy? Jack Russell Chihuahua mix. She had a ton of energy until she realized where she was at this morning.
Oh, poor puppy.
I felt really bad. What went from, are you ready to go for a walk, turned into, oops, sorry, we landed at the vet. Okay. We have a couple more minutes. And then in the background too, I do want to let everybody know that Birgit Koopson is in the background answering questions. We do have the fine folks at Gelli Arts that will be answering questions. So maybe they can pop in and say hello, hello, hello. So we're here to answer as many questions as we can. I'm not going to be doing a demo. We're going to be able to talk everything, I believe, through. And the next thing I want to say is next Thursday, you guys are getting a wonderful, I heard 18-minute video.
No, it's longer.
That gives everybody the ins and outs. Go ahead, tell them.
It's going to be 18 minutes long. It's the longest video I've ever done for the Gelli Arts YouTube channel. And hopefully I'm going to answer all of the questions.
Okay, good. Luann is in the background. I know that. And let's hopefully Dominique is there as well. Okay, it is 12 o'clock. Okay, what I want to say to everybody is welcome. We love image transfers. We know you guys do too. And we know that they're not easy. We know that. And there are certain techniques and tips that we can give to you guys for the greatest success. That's the one thing we want you to have. Excuse me, I had to cough. Okay, and I do want to say this, that the masters behind this on our team, the artists, are really Birgit, Marsha, Giovanna, and many others. So I'm the artist coordinator. Marsha is one of our brand ambassadors. Birgit is in the background answering questions as well. And so we're going to start with the questions that we get most common. And as we go along, I'm seeing questions pop in. I'll make note of those. Our team behind the scenes are going to go ahead and answer those questions as well. We just want to give you as much information that you can to take away. You want to make a couple of notes, but you'll be able to rewatch this video on our Facebook page. And also, like we mentioned, next Thursday, Marsha made an incredible video that maps it all out for you. Did I cover that, Marsha?
Yeah.
Okay. So here's what we know. And I have a cheat sheet. Here's what matters the most. So you ready? The paint matters. The type of magazines matter. The type of printer, if you're going to print your images, matter. So this is going to answer the first question, Tina. And when to press and when not to press matters. And when to let the paint dry and when not to let the paint dry. So Marsha, first we're going to talk about paints. And I have paints. Okay. So I'm going to go over what I know works for me or for us. And I'll go over to those paints right now. Excuse me. And here's a couple. We know right away, like Winsor Newton, Liquitex Basics, which I have, the Folk Art Plaid, multi-surface, and I think the label has changed on that. Let me make sure you see. Yeah, I'm going to hold that up. So this is the Plaid multi-surface paints.
Okay.
I've got Liquitex Basics. Okay. Also Americana multi-surface from Deco Art. So those are some of the paints we know work really well. Are there any, should we mention, I don't know, if there, Marsha, do you have paints to add to that?
I have BBO Studio Acrylics. I also have Ara Artist Acrylics. And let me see, I think I have one more. Do I have one more? Oh, I tried the Arteza. These are actually craft acrylic colors.
Yeah, there you go.
These work great too.
Oh, good.
And I kind of feel like I had another one. But I can't see it. So yeah, the Talents Amsterdam works great too. So
okay. So
that's paints to choose from.
Yeah, you're not looking for a real liquidy, transparent paint.
No.
You're looking for something that has a little bit of grit. They're asking, do golden paints work? I don't
Yeah,
know the answer.
sure. But it depends. Yeah, I don't know. So the golden paints are heavy body paints, and I generally don't like working with heavy body paints on the gel plate. And so I also don't like working with them for transfers. And then the fluid ones are great on the gel plate, but they are a little bit harder to distribute, right? So it's harder to get an even layer of paint on your plate. And for transfers, that's really important. So if that's what you have at home, use it. But if you have like a medium body paint, then try that one first.
Yeah. And these, and I will say the folk art, these are available in the USA very easily. They're inexpensive. So if you're looking for what is going to work, here's what we recommend. And then we are going to have a video next week covering all of this so that you can see it. Okay, types of magazines. Important. I'm going to tell you those high fashion magazines. I have the best luck, like Vogue, Vanity Fair, InStyle. These work great. National Geographic, not going to happen. And I think it has to do with the style of the paper and the ink combination. But these are your the high fashion magazines seem to work really great. Can you add? Now, Marsha has had great success with
Yeah,
other things.
yeah. So I've in the Netherlands. I don't know if it's a Dutch thing or versus a US thing, but I find that most magazines that I try work.
Mhm.
It could be that I'm buying the magazines that all work, and I'm not buying the ones that don't work. I don't know, but yeah, as long as it's like a little bit of thicker quality paper, then it works fine. And if it's a thinner type of paper, that could still work, but you probably need to be faster when it's a
Yeah,
thinner
timing
type of.
matters.
Yeah,
And you want to stay away from anything that's too thin or newsprint, no go.
no.
You don't want that around your plate at all. And just so you know, in the background, Luann is answering questions. Also, Birgit is answering questions. And I believe Dominique is in the background. And here's the thing, too. Dominique or Marsha and Birgit are in the Netherlands. So their magazines probably vary a little bit different from us. And we all know as well that the magazines over time have changed the type of paper they use, the ink they use. So if you're using magazines, start with these high fashion magazines. I love Vogue. I love Vogue. I mean, I don't look like I like Vogue, but I love it for the quality of the ink that comes off and transfers. You can use laser prints. People are asking if you can use laser prints, not inkjet.
No.
So that leads us into the next question. You want to use laser printed images. And if they are laser printed images, I'm going to turn this over to Marsha to talk about the best success with laser. Birgit just answered the question if the photocopies are using laser printed images. Those should work. So go ahead, Marsha.
Yeah, so it's all about the toner. So a toner, it is like the powdery stuff that gets printed on your paper, and that's why inkjet won't work, because that's like a liquid that is printed onto the paper, and it's also most times not waterproof. So if you are going to put that on your plate, the paint is just going to suck into the paper and there will be no image left on the plate. So what you need is like a thick coat of black toner on your paper, like this. You need really dark parts.
Contrast.
Yeah, and really
Mhm.
light parts. So that's why I edit my photos on my computer first to make sure that I have pure white in my image and pure black in my image, and then I print it. And if I print it once, it will do very little. But if I print it twice, so I run the same paper through the printer twice, then there is enough buildup of the toner, and then I will get a transfer on my gel plate. And
So a lot. Oh,
yeah, yeah.
go
Go
ahead,
ahead.
Marsha. Oh, so for a
No,
lot of times, like the black and white print you see works really well because what you're talking about is high contrast. Go ahead, Marsha.
yeah, and I wanted to say so. Gel printing with laser prints is a bit different from printing with magazine pages because you need to be really fast. You can't get a sip of coffee in between. You need to place the image down and then lightly touch it so you know that there are no air bubbles and lift it up again right away. So no time to think. You can only just do and then you get the transfer.
So that leads us to the next part. And let's talk about this because when to press and not to press. And I know I've demoed this a lot at trade shows. I'm going to give you just a couple of tips and then I'm going to let Marsha explain like that process. Here's a couple of things. Number one, when you place it down, I usually place from the top the image down and just make sure there's no air bubbles. So I start in one area and work my way down. This is me personally. The other tip that I got from Birgit and watching her was letting the brayer do the work, not pressing the brayer into the gel plate, but to let it spread it evenly with just light, nice, even um, rolling back and forth. So I'm going to let Marsha talk through that process of timing.
Okay, so one question about the roller. Do you mean with the paint or do you mean when the
No,
image is on there?
with the paint. Yeah, with the paint to
Okay,
spread the paint out. Yes, thank you.
okay. So you need to start with very little paint and then distribute that across the plate evenly. So it needs to be like as perfect on there as you can possibly get it. So no marks in the paint, no patches with a little paint and patches with big blobs of paint. No, you want everything to look as smooth as possible. And then you place the image down, and this is but it could be a magazine image too. And then I only lightly stroke it just to make sure that it's on the plate just right. And then, yeah, it depends on the magazine. If it's a laser a printed image, then you need to pull it up right away. And if it's a magazine, it depends on the magazine, but you can usually pull up a corner and see if it transfers right. And if it doesn't, you can place the image back down again and maybe, well, not burnish, but, touch it a little bit harder and then pull it back again. And yeah, I don't wait a long time. It's like a continuous process. And then when it's done, it's done.
So people are asking about the amount of paint. It's usually a pea-size amount of paint.
Yeah.
It
And
is not
sometimes that's even
too.
too much.
So, and here's the thing about it. You want to work in contrasting colors. So you want to go a pea-size amount of paint, usually like black or
Yeah. It's usually best to start with the
Indigo
darker
night.
color, and it doesn't have to be black.
Right.
It doesn't have to be indigo. It could also be like a more opaque paint. But yeah, dark is usually best because especially if you are trying to uh, pull a magazine transfer of a person, then it probably looks best if you start with a darker color.
And the other things I want to say about this, and people are saying, what if it doesn't work? First off, there are no bad prints. Remember, when you're printing, you can go over and layer, and there are no bad prints. Somebody asked, what happens if there's an air bubble? I can answer that question. If there's a slight air bubble, you might see, okay, and I'm just going to share just some images that I have sitting right here. See these little splotches right there? You can even wipe these away from the paint first. This is from a magazine. Here, this was a magazine, but only half of the like it was only half the guy's face. That's the image. It's really, there are no bad prints at all. I mean, that's the really cool thing.
Yeah, you can print another layer over it.
Yep.
Or you can, if it's like a tiny speck, you can go in with a little paint, or maybe color something in with a colored pencil.
Yeah.
There's always some way to make it work.
Yeah. And I always say, especially people who follow what I do, this is the great thing about printing. You can be doing this on inexpensive copy paper to very expensive paper. Inexpensive copy paper works tremendously. And I always say to everybody who's working with me, it's only a piece of paper. So if something goes wrong, it's just a piece of paper, and you can go over the top of that over and over and over. And I want to recap the process again, just to make sure that you guys get this, because we have it all laid out. Okay, so you want to add a small pea-sized amount of paint, preferably a dark color. And we say that from the perspective of you guys giving this a try and having success. Once you guys master this plan or master this technique, sky's the limit. You're going to be using the colors of the rainbow. So you want to roll that out into a very thin layer onto your plate. You want to lay the magazine over the top. You want to put it face down onto the plate, and then make sure you lay it down. Try to get the air bubbles out. And then you can lightly press that down with your fingers. You don't need to burnish it in. You just lightly put it down. After you want to remove the image and let that dry. Now, because you've used such a small amount of paint, we're not talking about hours to dry. It's usually within minutes, because it is such a small amount of paint. I do this and demo it at trade shows, and it's like boom, 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 we're going.
Yeah, so I timed it.
Oh, good.
For me, yeah, and it's winter here, right? So it's less than a minute for me, and I use that time to clean my brayer and get organized and think about what color I want to roll on top. And then like in I can do all that in a minute, and maybe sip some tea, and then I go back in, and important, I check if the paint is dry.
Yeah, just touch it. Yeah, I just touch it. So then to pull the print, you want another small amount of paint, less than a pea size. I mean, that seems to be the key. And you want to use a contrasting color. So whites, I love some of the, whoops, that's not a contrasting color. Oh, I love this. So Liquitex has a cool parchment color. I love that. Cream colors, yellows, light pink. You want to brayer that, roll that out just like you did over the top. And then you want to immediately stick your paper over the top. And this is where you're going to burnish and kind of rub that in to make sure you get all of that. And then pick it up. And you're going to be amazed.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I think for the most part, we kind of covered that step by step. And we talked about what kind of paint should you use. We talked about Plaid multi-surface, Deco Art multi-surface, Anitas, Liquitex, basic paints, Winsor and Newton. How much should you use when printing? Less is more. I think the most common problems we ever see is the amount of paint people are using. Less is more. And it's like a large pea size amount of paint, but you really just kind of want to test that and
Yeah,
not use too much.
because it also kind of differs between paint brands. If it's a
Yeah.
paint that is more liquid, it's a bit different. But you will yeah, you need to test it and then you will figure it out.
Yes. And
If you pull up your magazine image and it's all still paint on there, then you know it's too much paint.
yep. Great. And we did have a question, Amsterdam paints. Yes.
Yeah, good,
Yeah.
good paint.
I haven't used them personally, so good. Yes, they work. Okay. Um, Fashion magazines, Vogue, InStyle, Vanity Fair are three very good examples of what works. So you really want to go to the magazines that we are telling you because we know we've had success with those. But after you kind of get with this technique, test whatever you think will work and see how it turns out. I'm always saying there are no bad prints. There are no bad prints.
No.
Okay. So remember, you're looking for images with high contrast, lots of dark and lots of light. So even if you're looking at a magazine and it's all like black and white print, it's going to work great. I mean, I have gone down and even gotten like, like this. You get that brand name picked up perfectly. Okay. Do vintage Vogues work? I would imagine. So here's the thing with over time magazines and laser printers have changed too. So
Yeah.
I have a really old laser printer. One pass, this thing dumps out a lot of ink. One pass, it works like a gem. My new laser, I usually have to put it through a couple of times.
Yeah, because they made them so they don't waste stuff.
Yes.
They made them more efficient, but that's not what we want. We want lots of toner on there.
Yes. So appreciate that question. Okay. We talked about which pictures, lots of contrast. Okay. Brayer, which brayer should I use? Use the brayer to roll up the paint. I mean, we have a brayer, works great. I know there are other brayers that work as well. Use your hands to press down when you lay the image
Yeah. So I never or hardly ever use the brayer to burnish the paper because I love to feel with my hands. And actually, this is a really good question. Or I don't know if the question was asked, but it's a really good thing. If you ever have experienced that your paper sticks to the plate, that's usually because the paper is damp and it has absorbed a lot of the moisture from the paint. So if you use your hands, you are going to notice because you are going to feel it. And if you feel that the paper is damp, you know that you shouldn't pull the paper up because it's going to tear.
Yep.
So
okay, and I'm going to address some of these questions that come in. We do not recommend any type of newsprint used with the plate.
No. Yeah.
Do not recommend that. Robin said, my very old Canon laser copier makes great prints. So anybody who has an old laser, I have an old HP, don't get rid of it. Now that ink costs a lot of money. National Geographic, do not recommend it. Marsha and I talked about this. The old National Geographics, the vintage ones, again, over times, the magazines have changed their printing and their inks. So
I have one from the 60s that works, but I haven't tried it with the ones that you can buy now, but people say that don't work, so I believe them.
Yep. Gina asked, can we photocopy an old photo and use that? Absolutely, yes. Laser printed. Laser printed. If it's a laser printed copy, a laser printed from a printer, yes. Inkjet, that does not work. That actually absorbs, the ink absorbs right into the paper, just doesn't give. So laser printed. Did I miss any questions? We hope that this was answered your questions. We know we get them all the time. We want you guys to master these techniques, and they're fun, but we also know they can be frustrating. Remember, there are no bad prints. They're just, I don't have one. I actually have a book. So these are my like various, I print things up. And this is a book that I made. Look at, I haven't put everything in it. So I use this as my journal. There are no bad prints. Okay. I'm going to answer, let's see, best way to clean the gel plate.
Yeah, wet wipes, like baby wipes or a wet cloth. If you have really stubborn paint on there, you can use a drop of baby oil. Yeah, that basically gets rid of everything for me anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. Mineral oil. If you have a little bit of a, I actually don't clean my plates. Don't get mad at me. I like to go back and have the stuff that's on it come up in the next print. Does it matter how big the gel plate is, Marsha? I would say that has
For
something to
what?
do with timing. I would say for the prints, I would say that would have to do with timing, but I don't think so at all.
No, I don't. No,
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, well, and I never do transfer prints on like the really big plate. So
I have one that is so large. Every time I pull it out, people are like,
I
"What?"
only need something that is about A4 size. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, good. I do not use Murphy's oil soap on my plates. If you want to use
No.
it on the brayers, do not use them on the plates. I only use that on the brayers if they need a deep cleaning.
But it's also, you don't need anything like that.
No, no. At best, when I'm demoing at the trade shows, with the image transfers, when you use a lot of dark ink over time, I just use a little bit of baby oil. This is exactly what I use right here.
Yeah, and if you feel that that isn't enough, you could also just roll on a really thick layer of paint, like a new layer of paint, and put some heavy cardstock on top and a book on top, and leave it overnight. And then the next day, you can probably pull everything off in one go.
Yeah, somebody said the best way I found to clean my plate is put the paint down, let the paper stay on it for a few hours or overnight, and then the
Yeah.
pull brings up everything. Thank you,
Yeah.
Melissa. Plate size. Birgit is answering the question. I've used the 3x5 plate to the A4 and everything in between, and has made no difference.
No.
Good. Is it useful to use a medium to transfer photo? A medium? Do you mean like?
But
I don't.
you don't need to. It's kind of depends. Well, not. I mean, for a photo or not a photo, it doesn't matter. It depends on if your paint dries really quickly. Then you might want to mix in a medium. Here in the Netherlands, I hardly ever need one.
Yeah, I'm gonna give just the 5 minute. Well, we're gonna be on for about. I feel like my voice will last for 5 more minutes. Question: how long does a plate last, and what is the best way to store it? I have my original 8x10 plate from Luann. What year did you start business? I have my original. The best way to store it, to a piece of copy paper that you just store it like this. pull the paper off. 2011. There's the answer to that question. My first plate is 10 years old and still good, and you can store it best between copy paper. That's it. That's all I have. So when I'm done, this goes back on copy paper. I know. There we go. That answered that question. Okay. Well, Marsha, we did it. Are there any other questions before we go? I do want to remind everybody, next Thursday will be Marsha's blog post that will come out where she is going to show a detail.
Yeah, so not tomorrow, next week.
Yeah, a week from tomorrow. I don't know what day it is. I've been in bed for 3 days. Yeah. We want you to have great success with this technique. So if you want to see this in action, next Thursday, a week from tomorrow, will be a video that Marsha provides that will show you guys everything that you kind of need to know, including where she kind of times it. And she shows you guys how to do that. Could you give us a live example of a print transfer? We will do that in the future. Unfortunately, I was brought down with the flu, and this was just meant to be a Q&A today. But we do live demonstrations, but you can definitely next Thursday get that information off of Marsha's video and blog post, so you can have all that detailed information. Again, with Gelli Arts, if you ever have any questions, you can always go to our website. Most of what we even talked about here, the proper care and storage, are in the frequently asked questions. And somebody said, I clicked the like, but I got the angry face instead.
Oh, no.
Thank you for letting me know, because sometimes I click on those and I go, oh my goodness, what did I do to upset somebody? So Windowkins Designs, thank you. We appreciate that. Yes, let's see. You will see more about using ink pads in the YouTube video coming out next week. Yeah, a week from tomorrow is when Marsha's video comes out. So next Thursday, not tomorrow. All right, good. Any other questions before we go? I think we're ready to wrap it up. Marsha, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you.
And I want to thank all of our artists, because without you guys perfecting this and working on this, this is something, I have had to take lessons from our artists when I have to go to a trade show, and I appreciate that information. Last question, but thickness for copy paper. Alexander, there is no thickness that I know of that answers, or that is, because I actually use very thin copy paper with not, to watercolor paper, mixed media paper. Is there, I don't think, this is watercolor paper. So I've just used standard weight copy paper. Works great. Also, I like a bright white cardstock. That works tremendously well as well. Okay. Any other questions? I think that about wraps it up. If you have any questions too, and we weren't able to answer them here, our team is always in there answering your questions. You can go to our blog, our YouTube channel, TikTok, Instagram. I think that, and you can rewatch this video right here on our Facebook page. So I know I'm getting some questions about magazines. We covered all of that in the beginning, so you can rewatch this video. We leave it there. Alexander said thank you, and Lynn said, I also left an angry face out of mistake. Okay. I think I was able to touch on everything. There was one question a couple of questions, Mark, that came up about copyright. That is something you always want to have artist permission. You do not want to be selling without express written permission. We are using this in our own personal art. Questions like that would need to go directly to your lawyer. That is not this is something we as artists take very seriously. So you are not to be selling that artwork and utilizing someone else's art. So please take that up. You know, if you have further questions about that, you would want to go under copyright and inquire further. Okay. I do want to reiterate, without express written permission, we as well are artists. Okay, I think that about covers it. If you have any other further questions, you can always email us at info@gelliarts.com. Marsha, I want to thank you so much. And it looks like we have a couple of angry faces that were not meant for us. So I appreciate that. And as always, we're here to help you. From Gelli Arts, we all want you to have great success with these techniques. And we understand they can be challenging, but there are no bad prints. Bad prints, don't get rid of them. Okay, everybody, we are out. Thank you so much. And we will talk to you all soon.